there's a lot of courses, there's lots of training, there's so much out there. I think there's too much content. And a lot of the leaders and managers and CEOs of companies are a bit confused. Being really clear what your values are. Never compromise on the values that you want to create in your business. Never compromise on the values you want to create in the business. Because as a leader, you have to set that tone.
Yes.
And if you start deviating off your values, then everybody else will do the same.
Yeah.
It goes back to your behavior becomes their behavior.
Welcome to another episode of Skillionaires, the podcast where stories stick and strategy sets scale. And today we have Premal Patel with us, who knows how to actually create teams and scale with personal attachment. Let me know what we can actually get here to know about the scaling moment with Premal Patel. Prem, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me today.
And you have a far way to come.
I do. I've just come from London all the way to Dubai, and actually been here every single month this year. So it looks like I'm slowly navigating my life towards this part of the world.
Well, that's a beautiful decision. If I'm looking at Europe, unfortunately, I like the forests much and the nature, but the security nowadays, it's a little bit more better here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, are there any other safer places than Dubai and the UAE?
We love
it's
it.
one of the safest places in the world to live. So,
right.
And one of the happiest places, I hear.
One of the happy places, and coming to happiness, it is something that you foster actually very much. And tell us how you take this as a scaling point and what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, so, it goes back to, I've done 30 years in the corporate world, worked with some of the biggest brands in the world across 3 continents. And I've led teams of over 200 to 5 people, right? So, and now I'm doing my own business. Yeah. And part of my passion has always been, how do you make your team happy in the workplace?
Yes.
If you can create joy in the workplace, you'll have a more productive team. They'll deliver more for you, and there'll be less of the complaints when you ask them to stay, a little bit later in the evening, over weekends and whatever. So that was my sort of journey. And I sort of thought, how have I done this? And how have I created some high impact, high performance teams throughout my years? And I started pulling this knowledge together and pulling it into a document, which then eventually has turned out to be my new book, which is Younger Unplugged, which is Your Actions Nourish Growth Ambitions. And all the techniques are shared in this book.
Wow, that is insightful. Everybody should have it. I bet we can put the link in the show notes of this podcast so everybody can have an access onto your knowledge, and we pick your brain a little bit.
Sure.
If and how did you do it? So working in the corporate world is one thing that a lot of people admire, but with scaling other sides businesses or other companies, teams, you have brought a big benefit to them. The work situation or the team building situation in Europe, and especially in the UK, is something totally different than here in the UAE. What is the biggest difference, would you say?
It goes back to humans are humans everywhere, and people buy people. So if you're a leader in a business and you're leading a team, you have to role model the behaviors that you want your team to behave, because their immediate role model is you. And this is where a lot of organizations, large, small, medium organizations, they get it wrong. Because what they assume is it's only the CEO who has to create the right behavior and the right culture, but it's everyone across the business. So if you're a senior manager, you're a manager, anyone who's leading a team plays a role in shaping that culture of that organization. And when you shape the right culture and people feel empowered and enabled to do really good work and excel in what they're doing, you're going to get a much more productive team, and people will be a lot happier. So those businesses who have exceptional cultures and a really nice organizational culture, and I'm talking about a culture that the teams help create, not just the leadership, and it's not just values on the wall. You usually find a lot of companies, they'll say, we have integrity, we have innovation, we are trustworthy, but those are things that should be in your DNA as an organization and as people anyway. Why do you have to put that on the wall? But when you have a slightly different set of values, like be yourself or wearing it together. Well-being comes before work in the dictionary. Those type of values, they start becoming more meaningful for the employees because they feel you care. And it is about caring.
It is about caring. That's what you say. And it comes immediately to my mind as well, a question that has been asked on the conference that we got to know some few weeks ago. It was a big HR conference here in the MENA region. And there was one question. What leadership technique do you have, or what leadership style do you have? I believe it was. And a lot of people said masculine leadership, feminine leadership, and there was all kind of disclaimers on what the leadership was. So just tell us your opinion on having such a structured leadership, because one leadership style that I have, they never mentioned, and I'm not really quite sure if I'm on the right path or on the wrong path, or if it's even a path, but that's just my way to lead. And I think it's a very beautiful way, and it gives me the possibility to grow my business. But yeah, with this whole styling things around the leadership, let us know a little bit of insight. What's your opinion about it?
Sure. What's your style of leadership?
A servant leadership.
Okay,
yeah,
servant leadership. Yeah. And look, for me, there are so many different behaviors and styles of leadership because every individual is different and they're unique. So when you try and typeset people and say you're in this box, it doesn't work. It's just like when you have a product now for multiple customers. Most customers now, when they're buying something, they want something personalized. And they want to be served, as you're saying, they want to be served really well, and they want to be known by the person. That's exactly the type of leadership you need to be. You need to know your employees. They're not just a number. So there's a big movement, and there's been a movement over the last maybe 2-3 years now, and you see a much more coaching style of leadership where leaders are actually going into the organization and working with the teams and not just sitting in a hierarchical office somewhere on the top floor. You know, they're really walking the floors. They're working in projects with them, directly rolling their sleeves up. And that's what employees, I believe, in today's world want to see. They want to see who's going to go into no man's land with me when there's a problem with a customer or whatever. Have the leadership got my back?
Very good.
And that's exactly what you need to have. You need to protect and create a safe and a psychological safe environment, but also a safe environment for the employees to make mistakes and learn from the errors, because mistakes are natural. Everybody makes them.
Yeah. Now, when you come to the European market of workforce, scaling your teams is totally different. There we have, I don't know about UK much, but I assume it's the same like in Germany, Austria, that you have a lack of people who wants to work and who you can gain. That comes not from the mentality of the people per se, but from the political landscape that has been fostered throughout these areas. And here you have to totally opposite. So how you bring your knowledge together and amplify it, apply it to the market here that you find different, because people want to work here, right?
Yeah. Look, I think people do want to work wherever they are. People are looking for work. They're hungry. I've worked in the region 15 years, a few years back, and now I've come back into the region. And actually, what I found is there's some quite common traits of employees here. You know, I've met a lot this year who are really hungry to grow. They want to develop personally. What I think has been lacking quite often in this part of the world is that focus on leadership development and growth and personal development. There's a lot of courses, there's lots of training, there's so much out there. I think there's too much content. And a lot of the leaders and managers and CEOs of companies are a bit confused as to where do I get the right information and the right training to have a good impact on my employees? How do I support them? In the UK and a lot of Western markets, personal development and growth has been there for many, many years. And, you know, most often you have your performance reviews. And as you go through the year, your managers, if they're a good manager and they excel in helping you grow, they will monitor and help you perform throughout the year, and they'll put you on programs. There's a lot more leadership focus, I see, from what I've seen in the UK and across Europe. I used to be in a company where I was sitting on the board across France and Germany, Italy, and UK. So I saw a lot of commonalities, in terms of people's ability to grow and the investment companies were putting in. What I'm seeing now is a real growth in some of that investment here. But I think some of the tools and the solutions are probably not there to access, and they're not easy to access, because what I see is a lot of programs are very, very expensive here.
Yes, they
because
are.
people think it's the Middle East. So let's just charge a fortune for our service and our solutions versus what they do in the UK. And I think that time is coming to an end.
Very interesting. Coming to that training situation that you just explained, I have my own trainings, especially for also customer service and how to sell, how to scale the performance of the team in revenue. And I find myself, when I'm bringing my service forward, that I basically there is no consciousness about the owner that could enhance the business or the performance of the team. So they do not want to train. It's also shallow, I feel. And they don't send their people much for trainings. And if they don't perform, we're just exchanging them somehow. The market is so full, we can choose from the fullest. And that is something that I find, wow, what's going on here? There's a fast paced on this mode with building up teams, and especially coming from different cultures, there's also that tonality to take in account. So how do you think this could be, or what is your solution on it? Is there also an end where owners cannot permanently exchange the people? Yeah, that's a scaling cutting point, I suppose. I'm interested on your opinion on that.
So look, you're absolutely right. And I think it goes back to a lot of companies I've spoken to, so I coach quite a few people around the world, and I speak to a lot of leaders of business. Sometimes there's a fear at the leadership level that if they grow people too much, they think they're going to try and either take over their position or they'll be ousted out and someone new will come in because they've given them the skills. So quite often there's a bit of a fear at the top of, let's make sure I'm protected in my position and I can grow people, but not quite to my level. But what happens is, in today's world, because there's a hunger for growth and a hunger for personal development, the employees, the sort of senior managers, the directors, they want to see how far can this company take me? Can this company actually help me achieve my own personal goals as well as the professional goals? And now there's a blurred line between personal and professional. COVID enabled that, and now it's all about a life balance. So if there's not enough investment coming from from organizations, people are going to leave. They will find somewhere else because other organizations will take them because they want the talent. The challenge with losing your best talent is it now takes an average 9 months to onboard a new employee.
Yes, and imagine how much loss this is, huh?
And so that 9 months, you get very little productivity from that person. But it probably takes you 6 months to recruit the person. So you've already lost nearly 2 years of productivity from that role. And then you have to ask yourself, if you've lasted for 2 years without filling the role, then why do you need to fill the role? Right?
Wow, this is insightful.
Yeah. So why do you have to fill the role? Or is there another way of doing that task through AI or other tools and solutions? Because what's the point of recruiting someone after having a gap for 2 years?
Exactly.
But the challenge now is a lot of organizations are feeling the pinch because the employees are no longer waiting around. I think at one point there's this huge fear, and there probably still is in certain markets, certain emerging markets. There's still a fear of, I don't want to lose my job, so I just carry on. So the more pressure that comes from the top, they just accept the pressure. Eventually, they burn out because they don't have the support structure or the training or the mental health to deal with that additional pressure that's coming. And the leaders will just keep adding more projects and more initiatives and saying, stay late, keep doing the work. And a lot of employees will just carry on doing that. And they'll work weekends, they'll work all evening, they work 16-hour days, and eventually they think they can cope with this, and they burn out.
Wow, that's insightful. Yeah, burning out is such a big point of getting actually people into a situation where they are not productive at all. Then you have to have a big responsibility actually of your leadership to cause this also, isn't it? And one thing I wanted to know about that, when you just said about they are fearing to grow them a little too much, so they're over them, then that's when you come in, isn't it? And that's when you enable for them to get actually a bigger spectrum of view how potential this limited mindset actually is for having a burnout or having a limited scalability.
Yeah, 100%, because you have to shift the thinking.
Yes.
At the top level, and when you're talking about the top level, you're talking the C-suite table. You've got to get people to shift their thinking to think, having more skilled, capable, empowered employees is good for our business.
Yes.
Because the more you empower someone, they will help your business grow and scale. But restricting them, then you stay at a certain level and it's really hard to grow. And you can't keep growing by keep recruiting new people because the cost of recruitment now is so high, is significantly higher versus retaining top talent.
Yeah.
If you retain and look after your people, they will help your business grow. And I think one of the pieces of insights is that if you actually retain top talent and over a sustained number of years, 3 to 5 years, you can actually 3x, 4x your profit.
Yes.
And the other side of it is you start declining in profit when you are recruiting people all of the time, because it's a process that never ends.
That never ends, and it is such a resource that you are actually giving out. And Prem, when you say that you keep the talent in-house and you wanted to enhance that and you wanted to bring the people up, how do you convince the leader, the C-suite that you was talking about what is the biggest argument that you have? What's the biggest statement that you can give them for getting into that knowledge that you bring to these companies?
So there's a couple of things. First, you have to shower them with insights and data of what's happening in the marketplace. So a quick piece of insight. The UAE last year, over the last 12 months, has spent 2.6 billion dirhams on mental health support through medical services for employees.
No way.
That's in the last 12 months.
Say this again. Just need to marinate.
So the UAE as a market has spent 2.6 billion dirhams on medical services. So this is like medical support for employees who have gone through mental health issues because of work-related pressure and stress.
Wow.
Right. And that is a fact. Now, you go
Do you have a lot of leaders on the C-suite table sitting who understands really the number? Or this is just like flushing off like this lotus?
Yeah, I don't believe everyone understands the impact.
I'm just petting. It's because it's not caused by you have a family-related issue. It's caused by work.
This is work-related stress and work-related pressure.
Wow.
Right? That's what's caused the sort of the anxiety or dealing with stress. That's what it is. So there's a 2.6 billion dirham fee and cost to business. If you can help, and actually the trend is going up. So right now, if we carry on the way we're doing and dealing with employees and dealing with situations around well-being and mental health, because look, let's be honest, there's a big focus around mental health. It's there. We know, AI is causing quite a lot. It doesn't mean that AI is a complete destroyer of mental health, but the volume of communication, the pace at which we have to work, the pressure to deliver faster and to do more with less is really becoming a pressure point now. And then having lots of gaps in roles because you can't fill those roles for 9 months to 18 months. adds pressure because those jobs don't go away. Someone has to do them. So they give it to the people who are left. I think
on top of what they have to do anyway.
Yeah, on top of their day job. So some people are doing 2-3 roles, and they accept it because they have this fear that if I don't do it, then maybe I get fired. Maybe I, have to leave. And I've got mortgage to pay. I've got rent to pay. I've got various things. People have lives. I think bringing some of this information and the insight to the table, at the top table, if you go to a company and if they realize they might be spending 30 million dirhams on medical support for their employees, and if they could reduce that by even 10 million, that's a pretty good outcome. When you have 90% of employees here suffering from some kind of work-related pressure, there's a lot to go after and there's a lot to change.
And that was making you coming here, obviously.
And that's exactly why I'm advocating this because it's such an important piece.
It is.
Because if we can even reduce that 90% down to 80%, it's such a huge impact on productivity and the economy of this market. And what we're doing is working behind the scenes to see how we can crunch some numbers to really show that.
Yeah.
What we don't want is to get people who are feeling pressure, but then eventually go tip over the balance to become burnt out.
There's also something else that we call not burned out, but bored out. Not educating your staff or your team, not developing them. It's also being bored out, isn't it?
But that goes back to then. Stress. You have to trust your employees because if you're a leader, you have to create a trusting, psychologically safe environment so people can speak up in the room when the CEO is in the room and challenge his thinking, challenge his opinions, even the CFO and whoever else. But if you're not allowed to challenge, then people start thinking, okay, I'm not going to share my good idea or share something, but that idea could be a massive groundbreaker or a game changer for the business. And what happens is when you don't enable and empower people to just run with their idea, give them the support and run with their idea, you're right, they get bored. So this boredom threshold is really low now. Again, it goes back to we're all consuming a lot of content on various channels, e-channels. Because you're consuming a lot, you're learning faster.
Yeah, knowledge is everywhere nowadays, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's that knowledge, and you start bringing ideas and thoughts to the table, but sometimes the leadership team are not open to it. I was running a workshop just 2 days ago at Zayed University.
Yes.
In fact, on Sunday afternoon, and they had a hackathon for students, and these students had some brilliant ideas, like absolutely amazing ideas. And what I saw slightly different, I've never seen this here, is where the leaders of various businesses, they picked on some of those ideas and they're going to support those ideas to go to market.
Very good.
How inspiring is that for those students who are first-year grad students?
Wow. Yeah, it just sets a totally other reference frame, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think as leadership and, with us, the people who've got experience in different corporate environments, how do you share something back now with the younger folks? Because, they're going through a tough time. Yeah. It's a really hard, when you look at the Gen Z population, it's a really tough time out there because they are educated and they struggle to get into work. Some are taking 1-2 years before they can even get into their professional careers. But that 1 or 2 years after graduating has a massive impact on their mindset. How do you help them through and how do you help them grow as a company by either doing more internships and giving them chances to run some projects?
Yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, internships is some good possibility for everybody to dive into something that they can utilize their knowledge. And that's what you say. A lot of people doesn't utilize their knowledge or execute it. Didn't you say?
That's it.
That's your speech.
And how do you bring you've got some of the brightest minds in the universities, bring them into your organization over the summer period, over wherever, even short stints of projects, and let them sort of, deal with some of the real workers and, they learn from that. They can learn fast because how do you keep learning? And the one thing now I think we all have to do is you have to keep on going with the learning cycle.
Yes.
You cannot stop. but it's finding the time. So part of what I do out there with a lot of leaders is help them create the time, because most leaders, when you talk to them, everyone's busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have no time, and I wonder what they talk about. They have 24 hours themselves.
That's it.
Like everybody.
We all have the same 24 hours. Right?
Yeah.
And it was I did an interesting exercise with one of my coaching clients the other day, and I said, he says, I don't have any hours or whatever. I said, your 24 hours, my 24 hours, exactly the same.
Exactly.
So we then split down, how do you spend the 24 hours? So let's assume you do 8 hours of sleep. Okay, so that brings you down to 16. You then eat for maybe 3 hours a day. Okay, so that brings you down to like 13. You might then do a bit of exercise for an hour. You do 12. And you break it, and then you're working for another 8 hours.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 hours left. Most people spend the other 3 or 4 hours. What do you think they do?
Swiping?
Social media.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone says, I cannot create time. If you just reduced 1 hour of social media time, you then have an hour, you have 7 hours a week of your own time to do something different.
Yeah, that is some big point in my calendar, a big point of where I leverage actually the power of my effectivity. I give in forehand every minute in my calendar a certain task.
That's it.
And that's when I am not falling short into going into the swipe mode where you suddenly have 4 hours left. And I wonder actually why a lot of leaders falling for that, and I don't know why is that, but
because everyone's got this fear. They've got this. Well, I'm maybe being a bit too general. I think most people have got a fear of missing out on something, and what social media has done for us is giving us access to people, to comments, and people are looking for validation. I put a post out there. How many likes have I got? How many people have commented? You keep looking for this because that's what's being created.
Yes.
But if you can walk away from that for at least another hour a day, you create more time.
Yeah.
That time you can spend either reading or going out and seeing something different in the world. And, if you actually spent 1 hour per day looking at a new topic, just one topic.
Yes.
For about, I think the stat is 1 hour a day for 3 years, you become an expert in that field.
Exactly. I did that actually 2 years when for AI. Yeah. That was my topic, how to utilize AI. And I did this, and I thought like, okay, the new year is coming up, let's do something else. But I was just finding myself, I was not ready yet with exactly that topic. And then I start continuing. The third year, I was like, damn, I just need to learn, like choose enough. And then I chose for literally 3 months trading on, with stocks and so. And I just felt so much that I fall back in what I had learned, and I created the momentum in the subject of AI that I just left the trading. I was like,
that's it.
And that's it. I went back to AI and catched up. Yeah.
Yeah. And AI is evolving at such a pace.
Yes.
You have to keep learning.
Yeah.
There's so many tools now that can help you actually organize your business better. But there's so many of them. How do you know which is the right one?
Yes. And nowadays it is treated like a big video game.
Yeah.
You jump after this and then you leave out the effectivity by not making a choice or a decision. And coming to making a decision is actually something that I wanted to know from you. When you create teams, you said 5 to 200, you created those scale of teams. On what point you have to, when I'm now a small business owner, and also with the help of AI, I don't have to have so much manpower, but what is the time when I wanted to scale my team that I have to put a second level of leadership level? So in my trainings, I have always, when it comes to building up a team and scale over a team and labor work, that I describe it as a carriage, a horse carriage. So you first start as a horse by yourself, you ride it as yourself, then you get the second horse to it, and then you need a horseman sitting on it. And until you as an owner can go back in the carriage to work on your business, not in your business. But when in your time frame, or as your explanation is the right time to put somebody on the horseman and to have the second leadership level?
So it goes back to having a really clear vision for your business. Because if you've got a vision for your business, you can't do everything yourself. Up to a point.
You should not.
Yeah, but up to a point you probably will
Yes.
to start with. But you've got to get into the discipline of mapping out roles and responsibilities. And as a entrepreneur or leader of your business, there's a role you play. Yes, everyone has to roll their sleeves up and get things done because that's the world we're in. But eventually you have to know what are your areas that you're good at. A leader of the business is someone who has to do business development, the commercial side, the relationships. And I'll come to sort of human connections in a second. All the admin work, the finance, all the bits. I mean, I'm not great at the finance side and I hate doing that.
Oh,
and
me
I
too.
have to give it to somebody who's just good at it.
Yeah, and likes it too.
They love doing it. I've got this brilliant lady who just does this work for me and she loves her work. She does it great. And it's taken off so much pressure off my shoulders,
Yes.
Now, and I'm thinking, well, that's the way. And I'm now building my team through more outsourced services at the moment. And there's some brilliant outsourced services that you can actually use out there because there's qualified, experienced people offering those services. But what you have to do is know at what point do you want to grow your startup? So the first couple of years is really important. At what point do you want to scale? If you want to scale, you need to get on the carriage and you need to be working on your business, and not inside in the weeds because you're leading and you're directing and you're setting the vision for the future. So you need to have trustworthy people around you. And there are plenty of people out there who really want to come and help and support. And it's just finding the right team. Being really clear what your values are. Never compromise on the values that you want to create in your business.
That's beautiful. Say this again.
Never compromise on the values you want to create in the business.
Oh,
because as a
beautiful.
leader, you have to set that tone.
Yes.
And if you start deviating off your values, then everybody else will do the same.
Yeah.
It goes back to your behavior becomes their behavior.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's transporting. Actually, it's a transporting. As a good leader goes the way, shows the way, and knows the way, and that's how it goes. And you get so much. Actually, a mirror from your employees.
Absolutely, because
of what you're
they will
showcases.
copy you.
Yeah,
They'll copy exactly your behavior.
Yeah.
And the one thing you have to be aware of to grow your business, don't be scared to ask for help.
Yes.
Because in today's world where things are moving at pace and really, really fast, doing something on your own is like yesterday's news.
It
You
is.
have to do it together and in a collaborative way.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the right collaborative partners, people who will come with you, and don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And if you don't ask, then you're not going to get.
Exactly. Prem, tell me a little bit about the area here that you are coming from UK to UAE. So what is your goal, your own scaling goal with the UAE?
So I'm on a mission.
Okay, what's that?
And my mission is, about 2 years ago, I had my own coach and I went through a lot of soul searching into my own, after 28 years in the corporate world, thinking, where am I going with this?
That is such a thing. When you have been in the corporate world, you're just some kind of losing track on your own.
I was just,
isn't it?
I was like a machine. I was just running. I'm thinking, then I stopped and I had a brilliant coach in the US, a lady who's been coaching about 50 years. She's coached some wonderful people and I got connected to her and we started talking and she helped me set my purpose. And without my purpose, I don't think I would be here today. So my purpose now is to inspire and improve the quality of life of as many people as I can.
Wow.
That's my purpose.
And this is so beautiful because a lot of people are here just because of that. And then they fall into a trap of where they are running in the hamster wheel. And it's just like,
that's it.
And that's such a beautiful.
So my mission came out of this saying, okay, what am I really passionate about? I'm passionate about helping people develop, grow, and succeed. And so everything I'm doing now, so I've just, we launched a brilliant product yesterday in the UAE. It's a first for the market, which is the Healthy Minds Club, which is a platform and an app.
Yes.
And I'm loving working with the people that have come on board. There's companies now we're talking to who really want to care about their employees. And part of what I do is when I'm talking to companies, the first question I ask the CEOs or the HR directors is, do you care about your employees?
And what is the answer?
And do you know, most have said yes straight away. Then we start delving into, well, let's see how you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a few who have paused. When they have a pause in that question, that means they're not sure. Right? There's a bit of uncertainty.
That's where I was going to go
right?
after. Yeah.
So those are the ones where the mindset shift has to really go. Has to really shift the dial. And what I want to do is try and work with people. And it's not me, preaching or anything to say this is it. What I'm doing is providing some tools and some foundations that can make their life a lot easier in this fast-paced world to get behind how they can support their employees in an easy way. It's accessible and it's affordable. Because I've gone away from let's charge the big dollars, for everyone. Let's make it really affordable for companies to get involved and take the support. And so it helps them, it avoids them creating the platforms, which they may invest, hundreds of thousands of dollars in doing that. We've already invested in the tech. We've invested in the platform. So it's there to be used and optimized.
Wow. And that's your personal scaling moment.
So that's
just beautiful. We have to make a second session on that one.
And it's about going, there's, as I said, there's 80-90% of employees going through some kind of work-related pressure. And they want support, but they don't know where to get it. And that's the thing that we're bringing to market. So that's what we launched yesterday. And the other area, my mission is to really think about, what I've really loved doing is shaping organizational culture.
Yes.
How do you really get under the skin and bring a common culture together?
Yeah.
And so that's part of another stream of work that I'm working on to really think about how I can help shape organizational culture. In the
Very
UK,
good.
I did some brilliant work, in previous organizations where we won awards for our culture transformation programs. So all I've done is taken those techniques and I'm bringing that here and saying, anyone can do this, but there's a process you have to follow.
Yes.
And so I'm sharing that process and sharing the foundations around that.
I'm flashed from your deep diving mission, and not only because it does so much on the employee side, but it also does so much for the employer side.
Yeah.
And it does so much for the clients. And what we're having employers as founders, it's just for the clients. And I really wanted to outline, and I don't know if you if we cut this out, but I have to bring you together with Christian Kiefer, who was just here to have another interview.
Sure, let's do it.
Because he is just on the same mission, just on the customer side, having this now implemented. And there comes, Angela through, where I connect the dots together like nobody else.
But it goes back, Angela, to, I said I'll come back to human connections.
Exactly.
And the one thing AI cannot replace is human connection.
Give me 5 on that.
Right? There you go. Right? It cannot replace it.
Yeah.
And it never will. And when you are face to face talking about things around the table, important topics, the energy is just different.
It is.
Versus online or versus, hiding behind, whatever the tech or the channels people are behind a laptop.
Yeah.
When you're in rooms, when you're in forums, when you're in networking with the right people and talking to them, that's where I get the most inspiration and you learn from.
Exactly.
And sharing a common knowledge or common challenge and working that through.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Very good. Prem, tell me something. Yeah, I ask this every Skillionaire because it's just a little bit private, but although it shades out into the scaling moment of people, how do you manage, or how do you manage to take your partner alongside of a growth business, a scaling business? So how does it work for Prem?
Sure. It's not easy, and changing. I swapped out of corporate career last December. So I'm still not even a year into, entrepreneurship.
Yes.
It's a tough one because, if your partner will always be looking forward to that, regular income, the regular stable side of it, and coming in, and suddenly you don't know when the incomes or the revenue's coming in. So it causes a few challenges, but you have to be able to talk to each other. You have to talk it goes back to communication. Some of the things that I might say may not be liked, may not be accepted, but I cannot worry about that. If you worry as a business leader, you will go nowhere and you'll be going south fast.
Yes.
You have to take the worry and then embrace it and turn it into acceptance. And you move forward, and every day is a challenge.
You have to have this trust, yeah.
Your partner needs to trust you in that process that, okay, he seems to got a plan. He's got a vision.
Yeah.
Let's support and go. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just the way, that's life, right? And when you're passionate about a business, sometimes that's like a snowball that's already rolling down the mountain and it's getting bigger. And you can't let go of that. You have to keep going because that's where your purpose is.
Exactly.
You know? And hopefully you can bring your partner or anyone around you, your family along with you to enjoy that journey.
Yeah.
It's not always enjoyable, you know. Sometimes it's a tough situation to be in, but I love it. I wake up every day and I bounce out of bed. That's what I love.
Yeah, that's so good.
So I love what I do right now.
And that is actually also some energy that you transport into your private life. That being so vivid instead of, kind of mental disturbed,
100%.
getting sick because you are in the corporate world, not finding your pace. Yeah.
And part of my sort of my life this year has completely transformed, from corporate world to startup business. And, there are people in my life that I've had to move away, and I always go in and I've written a chapter about energy drainers versus, those energy boosters. Yeah. So I try and move towards where I'm getting more energy boosters around me because they're the ones every day that will get you through those tough days.
Well, we hope the Skillionaires podcast is one of the energy boosters here.
Yeah, 100%. But those energy drainers will be the people who will always be negative, and they'll be the naysayers and say, don't do this, or this won't work, or that's a rubbish idea, or whatever. But they've never tried it.
I think that's why also people like Dubai so much, isn't it? Because this is the positive selection of the minds that this city has some kind of vibration, where in Europe it is very kind. They also look only to the negative part of the things. And
that's exactly what happened to me in London with people I know who were saying, this won't work. Yeah. You'll be back in a job in a year's time or 2 years' time or whatever. Yeah. The difference I feel here is everyone I speak to, they inspire me. And I get new ideas and thoughts, and they're so super helpful. Yes. And I'm thinking this market, the UAE, has actually really encouraged innovation and business growth and this sort of togetherness to help each other and become this hub of the world. Yeah. And I believe this is the right place to be because I'm in the hub of the world. And from here, if you can make it here in the UAE, I think you can make it anywhere.
I think so too. To make it anywhere, what is then your 5 suggestions and points of what you would actually suggest to somebody to watch after when they wanted to build their team?
So number 1 is don't fear. Don't fear what's happening tomorrow, right? If you've got some idea, go for it. Yeah. Because that's number 1. Second, the only person who has a limiting belief is yourself.
It's yourself, yeah. The limits are behind your ears or between your ears.
Yeah, that's it. It's in your own head. Like, and you might try to convince yourself that everyone else is doing it, but it's you. Number 3, make sure you surround yourself with these positive energy boosters. Those are mainly people,
energy
and
is
environment. Energy, there's 2 things you will never get back. That's your time and your energy. Once you've invested those, they're gone. So use your time wisely, use your energy wisely. And then the 4th thing I would say is basically that plan, but don't plan too far ahead because things are changing too fast.
Yes, in this world.
When somebody says to me, I've got a 3-year plan, I just don't believe them because I now plan in 12-week sprints. What can I achieve in every 12 weeks? Okay. And I keep doing a year's plan every 12 weeks. Yes. And I keep moving. And that gets me to move at pace. And finally, beautiful. And finally, so I call it like a 12-week plan, basically. And that's what I do. So at the end of 12 weeks, I then look at the next 12 months. Yeah. but every 12
12
weeks I'll have a plan.
Yeah.
The last thing I would say is don't worry and just accept and embrace the changes that are going to come, because there will be plenty. But if you worry, you will worry yourself sick out of it. So you got to think, how do you change worry into acceptance? The situations will happen. Accept the situations for what they are.
Yeah, that's true.
And the final one I'll say is number 6 is no one is coming to save anyone. So save yourself.
Save yourself. That's that's my saying. Put the mask on first,
That's it.
like in the plane.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very beautiful, Prem. I enjoyed this interview so much. Let me know, because I also ask this all the Skillionaires for our audience.
Sure.
What is the book that you read the last time, and what would you recommend to our audience?
The last book I read.
Yeah.
So the last book I read was The Courage to be Disliked.
Ooh.
So so there's a book out there, Courage to be Disliked, and why I love that book is it gives you all the sort of foundation to go out and take bold decisions and decisions that might not be accepted by other people, but they're the right decisions for you.
Very good. Thank you for that learning out of the book. It should be in everybody's bookshelf.
It's a brilliant read.
Because if you don't care what is actually everybody else says, then it's also some kind of a yes to you, isn't it?
The challenge now, just on a final point on social media, is because we all look for validation, everyone wants to be liked.
Yes.
But being liked, just because somebody's ticked the box,
doesn't mean
do they really like you, or are they just saying that? And when you have the courage to be disliked, you start shifting the dial. You start making movements in a direction where others will hopefully start following. But that will make you achieve some bolder decisions, and you take more risks.
If somebody wants to get in contact with you because they wanted to scale and enhance their team, team performance, where would they find you?
Where they find me? So I have my website, so premalpatel.co.uk. They can find all the details there. If they want my email address, happy to have it. Again, it's premalpatel.co.uk. Easy to find.
We're gonna put that for our audience in the show notes of the video and the podcast, so they easy find you. And also we're gonna put the link to your book and everything that you give us for the audience to.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
To be visible. And thank you for being here, Prem. It was wonderful to pick your brain and to find out what is on your 12 weeks plan.
You'll see in 12 weeks' time whether I've achieved that or not. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
So that was Premal Patel with scaling strategies and a story that really sticks. And if you wanted to have more of this, you subscribe. Please give us a review here and share it with somebody you really like, because they wanted to be very happy about an episode like that, for them to support it, to scale their own business. On that note, have a good day.